Okay, runners making their way down to the start for penultimate race, 10 furlong handicap. Let's have a look at the betting. Bustham is your 11 to 10 favourite to follow up that Doncaster's success in 10 days. Go off a £10 higher mark. Bushfire is 132nd in for a yard. They've made a bright start to the turf season. Gemma Tutty. And the horse has won on heavy ground in the past. Lord Belburn 9 to 2, still a maiden, but he's been placed 3 of the 5 starts. Damascus Seal 15 to 2. Flying Scotsman 14 to 1. And Valamori 28 to 1. Outsider for half dozen. And Delman alongside me. The handicapper was impressed, like the rest of us, and I suppose you could expect a double-digit rise.
Yeah, just taken his time, didn't he? An ex-French recruit to kind of really find his feet, but he certainly has now, and it was a really good performance. He's by Lope de Vega, so you expect them to handle the soft conditions. Danny Tudhope looking for a double. Yeah, it could be the start of a fruitful campaign for this horse, because he's the type that David O'Mara does really well with. Just for a bit more value, I thought Damascus Steel would be one just for a bit of value. Quite a versatile horse. He won twice last year. He stays a little bit further. He won over a mile 3 on Good to Firm. He's won on heavy as well. So
yeah, Nottingham, it was bottomless today. He won on to. Yeah.
It literally was absolutely bottomless that day. So I just thought maybe he goes well fresh, and I just thought he could, start off the season well in a race which, apart from Bustam, I thought was maybe quite open, really.
Yeah,
take him out of it, and there's a few I think you could kind of cross off. They've not really shown a huge amount, have they? The likes of Flying Scotsman, who will turn a corner at some point. He's £10 lower than his last flat win mark, but he's really not shown a lot for Ben Haslam at all, and he starts for him. So I thought you could cross him out. Bushfire cashed in off a reduced mark last summer over this trip at Haydock on soft ground, and he's only £2 higher than when he won over a mile, but his form had dipped slightly after that. He was one of the picks of the paddock. You could not fault him at all. Jemmy Tutty's horses look absolutely fantastic.
And for all he's won on heavy, he's won on soft, but he is £2 higher than he's ever won. So he's not like he's
not well handicapped. No, he's not well handicapped, but Gemma's, I don't know what she's been feeding her horses, but they look so well. I remember at Doncaster, at the start of the flat, picking her few of hers out of the paddock, the Spring Mile winner, and they just stand out. They just look so forward in the coats for this time of year, when some of them are just still looking a little bit starey. So I still wouldn't look past him, the fact that he looks so well. But I think Bustam's definitely the worthy favourite. He's a nice strong type. You can see him there, a good shot of him. And obviously now that he's kind of found his feet and he's acclimatised to being in the UK, it could be the start of, a fruitful campaign for him, a horse that David O'Mara does, the type he does really well with.
Okay.
I presume he'll probably just take a bit of a lead. Danny Tudhope. Damascus Steel has gone forward in the past. Lord Melbourne, I thought, might be kind of bang up there with the pace, and maybe Danny might just take a little bit of a lead. But Damascus Steel, maybe Jason might utilise the fact that he stays a little bit further, that he might ride him forward and maybe make the running line.
Okay, but Bustam's your 6 to 5 favourite. One start for Andrew Fabb, handful of starts for this yard last season, but really kicked in when that apprentice riders race. Very impressed with Doncaster for 65, up £10, and he's 6 to 5 to follow in here. Bushfire 16 to 5, second in for Gemma Stutty. Conor Beasley's chasing a double on the afternoon. Lord Melbourne top weight for Simon and Ed Christopher, son of Wood and Bassett of Teofilo Marion, has been placed 3 of the 5 starts, including here behind Safety Catch at last back end on good to soft ground. He's currently 4 to 1, 17 to 2, brings in Damascus Steel, Fred Dunlop and Jason Hart. Flying Scotsman for JP McManus, Ben Haslam and Paul Mulrennan is 14 to 1. Fana Mori, who was well held over Hearns the last time we saw him, is your 25 to 1 outsider, less than a minute away, and a small field, and he took a lead at Doncaster, the favourite Bustam. But Danny, last time I saw him making all that, I don't think even no matter what trip, I think he'd be too far away here at Pontefract. Danny always associated with being in a good Pontefract position. Yeah,
Danny, he rides this track so well, but what Danny's really good at as well, though, Niall, is that he kind of lets the horses kind of jump and fall where they're happy, and he's quite happy to not panic ever and just sit where they're happy.
Okay, he's going to be last in. Let's see if he's not. He's going to be second last in. Valamori's going to be last in, but as he edges forward, we'll edge up the commentary box and rejoin Gareth.
Line up, and we're ready. And off, coming out in a perfect line for the Edie Linda and Philip Grundy April Birthdays handicap. And as they sort themselves out through the opening 100 yards, Lord Melbourne in the stripes up towards the outside of the favourite Bustam in the red jacket with the green cap. And it's Bustam holding a slender lead through the first 300 yards or so and on to their first turn. From Lord Melbourne in second, Bushfire runs in third, and then Flying Scotsman, Valamori and Damascus Steel. Damascus Steel around about 6 or 7 lengths behind the pace-setting Bustam, as they're right across from us now, working their way alongside the motorway. And it is Bustam by around about a half length or so, maybe 3 parts over Lord Melbourne in second position, the top weight. Back in third, a further 2 lengths away, is Bushfire. Connor Beasley on board, looking for a double today. Flying Scotsman is in fourth, just in front of the only mare, Valamori, back on the flat this afternoon. And last of all is Damascus Steel. So along the side of the track now, heading back towards the entrance to the home straight. Less than 3/4 of a mile to go, and it is Bustam passing halfway with the advantage. From Lord Melbourne up towards the outside, who's never been too far away. Then the white-faced Bushfire running in third. Flying Scotsman now niggled along in fourth. And the 2 greys both travelling well at the back end of the field. Valamori in the blue colours, Damascus Steel in the pink. Half a mile left to run, and now the uphill run back towards the straight. Bustam still showing out in the lead here by 3/4 of a length over in second place Lord Melbourne. Flying Scotsman away to the left, Bushfire travelling all right, the brown cap, and further back to Damascus Steel and Valamori as they're swinging left-handed back towards the straight. Bustam going strongly, leads by a neck or so, but on the case to the outside is Lord Melbourne. Bustam now joined by Lord Melbourne as they pass the 2. Bushfire angles out to have a crack at them both. Further back to Damascus Steel and then Valamori and Flying Scotsman, and as they make the journey on to the final furlong, a change of leadership as Lord Melbourne moves on together with Bushfire. Bustam back in third, is now keeping on only at the 1 pace and is held. It's a good battle uphill though to the line between the white-faced Bushfire and Lord Melbourne over towards the inner. Lord Melbourne pulling out plenty here and is seeing off Bushfire, with Bustam trying hard to rally, but this will go to Lord Melbourne. Bustam back through into second and beaten about a length and a half in the end. Bushfire ran third, and those 3 were clear of Valamori in fourth.
Lord Melbourne sheds his maiden tag at the 6th time of asking for Simon Ed Crisford. Harry Davis on board, beats Bustam. Ran a funny race for David O'Meara and Danny Toad. Looked to be climbing and going up in the air, turning in, and then consented to run on him late. Has finished second for David O'Meara and Danny Toad. Third was Bushfire for Gemma Tutty and Connor Beasley. Yeah, bit of a weird one, I think, with Bustam. He travelled really well, and then when Danny went for him, he kind of seemed to be paddling water for a little bit before running on again at the end. But this is kind of from the start of the race. Danny, you can see, always just lets his horses kind of jump out, and then he's always happy to sit wherever they land, and he's landed in front on Bustam. Lord Melbourne just kind of half a length behind him. Jemmy Tutter's running. Bushfire is a length off them also, and your eye was kind of really drawn to Bushfire. I think he was always travelling really well in the hands of Connor Beasley, especially when they kind of start to turn for the, round the home bend for the home straight. He was more or less still on the heels of them. I mean, Danny's got his horse into a lovely rhythm. He seems to be enjoying himself out in the front, but as soon as he asked him to quicken up, he doesn't really find a lot at all, does he? He just kind of starts bobbling around up and down on the one spot, and his head kind of came up in the air, and he just climbing. Yeah,
climbing.
And then ran on.
Maybe. Listen, I know he won on soft ground at Doncaster, but it's obviously a lot softer here today, and he, didn't look like he was all in love with it when he first came off the bridle. You can see Bushfire is still hard on the bridle at this point, and your kind of eye was drawn to him. But Lord Melbourne, I think I don't want to say Bustam's ungenuine, but in the finish it was kind of Lord Melbourne who looked like the one who kind of wanted it more than him. And he was returning to the scene of a track where he'd actually ran one of his better races at last season, back down in trip, and just here, isn't it? Bustam just starts kind of going up and down on the one spot and doesn't really look like he's all in love with it at all. His head comes up and Danny gives him a couple of reminders, but he doesn't really respond straight